this morning, sunshine through the clouds, feeling the healing, laughter all around. Rise up and stand tall, joy in every stride. No more tears to fall, let your spirit guide. Blessed girl summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed girl summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed girl summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Blessed Girl Summer Podcast. My name is Tisha and I am the host of the Blessed Girl Summer Podcast. I am an aspiring therapist. I'm currently in graduate school, halfway at my halfway point, so I'm super excited about that. But listen, and for those of you, if this is your first time, welcome. So glad to have you. If you are an OG, as I would call you, a BGS, a Blessed Girl Summer sister, I should say BGSS. If you are a BGSS, Blessed Girl Summer sister, I like that. Okay, so from now on, if you are a BGSS, hey. So I've been talking in this season, just sharing like some personal developments, some personal growth, some things that I've kind of understood, and some nuggets that I've taken throughout my journey this year, um, and going back to school at the blessed age of 48. um, and I've been sharing quite a few things so far, but today I wanted to talk about sowing seeds. So I attend the church here in North Carolina, and the pastor often talks about, he always asks, like, are we sowing? Or are we eating? Like, is this seed or is this bread, right? And so what he means by that is like, are you investing? Are you sowing this into something? Whether it be investing your time, investing your money. Most times we're talking about money. Are you sowing your money into something to produce something greater? Or is it bread? Are you eating it? Are you eating your seed? Like, right? And so that thing has been resonating with me, because one of the things that I have really started doing since I've been here in North Carolina is eating, child. We will be eating. I don't know. It's just like it has become a comfort source, like eating. And then I think as I've gotten older, my kids have, I have four adult children and it's like one teenager. And so there's a lot less maintenance. I don't have to necessarily cook. I don't love cooking. Fun fact about me. I don't love cooking. I don't love cleaning. Like, I don't mind paying people to do that kind of stuff, but not at the place of paying of people. So I have to do those things, but that doesn't bring me joy. I do know some people that find joy from it. I'm just not one of those. But back to the topic. So I definitely feel like I have been an eater. Now I don't like spend lavishly. Like, I'm not like a lavish spender. I don't have to have name brands. I don't have to do all that stuff. I I would say that I don't feel like I'm have to be like the Joneses. I don't necessarily feel like I have to be like the Joneses. But I definitely would like to have the money to be like the Joneses if I wanted to be like the Joneses, right? I would like that. But as it stands right now, we've sown a lot of seeds that are requiring that have required a sacrifice. And so for instance, like me being in school, that's a sacrifice, right? So I'm not working full time. I work part time, and I wouldn't even really want to call it part time. I would say it's like contracted work. And so that is like project based or like course based in my situation. So that to me is not part time. And so it definitely is not full time. Okay. And we live in 2025. And so we know we need two income households out here. But the sacrifice that has been made is for me to so that I can go to school, because the school thing is like a job. This is like a whole nother job. And this is preparing for what I ultimately want to do that will bring fruit, right? But it is the challenge. The reason why I feel like so many people, it's difficult for them to sow seeds and easier for them to eat is because it's a sacrifice. Sometimes when you're sowing the seed, it means that you can't eat. It means that you can't eat. You can't do the things that you want to do. You can't go the places that you want to go. You can't, because you're sowing that seed. And listen, when you've been sowing seeds for a long time, when you feel like you've been sowing seeds for a long time and you haven't been seeing the fruits of them, you can get weary in well doing. You can get weary. And so I feel like that is a part of how I feel sometimes. And if you listen to the previous episode where I talked a little bit about like my journey and a lot of the things that I've already done, a lot of the AKA seeds that I've sown that haven't necessarily produced fruit. And I even tell y'all that was like the time seeds that I've sown. I even tell you the monetary seeds, okay? I child. Okay, that's a whole nother podcast. I don't know if I'm I don't know if that's going to be a part of this or I don't know, but there have been a lot of sewing. I think I've always been like, okay, let's do this, let's sew this, let's sew that. Like I've always been not necessarily financial, although I'm not afraid financially to do that. But I think now as I'm talking, I feel like I've always been a sewer. I think that what I haven't really seen a whole lot is the reaping of the sowing. Um, but I feel like it's about to come, right? So anyway, we're talking about this sewing mentality and sewing and eating. And so I think that there was a part, especially when I moved down here, where things were a little bit cheaper, you could breathe a little bit more. I think I definitely fell into like more eating. I'm like, you know what? I've been sewing all my life, like Harpo. I've been sewing all my life, and now I'm ready to eat. Even though the harvest ain't plentiful, I'm ready to eat. And so then that puts you in a whole nother situation, which we were in at the beginning of this year. Thank God we were able to get out of that credit card debt. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about this because something came to mind this week that just blessed me in terms of the sewing mentality. So, a lot of times when I think about the sewing, I always think about it financially. I always think about like sewing and investing and seeing triple fold. And like, especially because I'm at the age where like I'm thinking about retirement, I'm thinking about all these other different things. I'm like, I need this money to be like I need multiplication to happen financially. And so that tends to be like a lot in the forefront of my mind. But something happened this week that reminded me that there are so many ways that we can sow. And I have seen the reaping of some of this sowing. I just haven't been seeing it that way, right? And so one perfect example was I am definitely, I feel like, a connector of people. Like I mentioned before, I had the podcast Boss Ladies Connect, and that was my thing. I'm connecting people, talking to people. I have or had a vast network. of individuals that have different gifts and do different things. And I always found myself connecting people together or giving opportunities like, this will be great for you, or would you like to be on this platform? And I can, I've just always been like that. Like when I hear something or I get some information or have some resources and I feel like it can benefit someone else and I know like who would be in alignment with it, who would connect well, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm about to put y'all together. I'm about to do this. Like, what can I do? And so, and that's never really something that I have to be prompted to do. That is just really a part of who I am. And for a long time, not for a long time, but well, for a little bit of time, I struggled with that being a gift and something that I do, with actually seeing the fruits for myself. Um, and so at one point I was kind of like, well, you need to fall back because you be doing the most for other people. Like you be doing these things and it's not really reciprocated. And so I saw that as a negative. Like you need to maybe do a little something, see if somebody do something for you. If they do something for you, then you could do more. Stop doing like 50 million things first. And then the one thing that you ask, they don't do because you have established this relationship where you're always doing. So, but then I would find myself knowing that and then something coming up and I'm like, how am I just sit here when I know that this is perfect, this person is perfect for this. Like I just innately felt wrong for doing that. So, anyways, talking to a girlfriend the other day, and she was telling me about a deal that she's working on, a deal for a property. And back in the day, y'all, not back in the day, not that long in the day, I used to be a loan officer, a mortgage loan officer. And so at that time, there was some connections and things that I made, and I had connected her with a couple of people. Um, at that time, I was a part of the deal or the possibility of a deal, but that kind of fell through. And I moved on, and I'm like, oh, this is not the space for me. I was like, it's not the space for me. It's very sales driven, and I'm not a salesperson. So I was talking to her the other day and she was like, yeah, I got this deal going on. And, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, well, who are you working with? And she was like, the people that I connected her with are the people that she's working with. But instantly, at first she was like, I'm sorry, like, because I'm not in the space anymore. So, like, I wouldn't profit from this deal. But I didn't feel like that wasn't my thought, like, oh, I wouldn't profit from the deal. What my thought was, wow, a seed that I sowed 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, a seed that I sowed almost 5 years ago is now manifesting, is now growing. And I can see the awesomeness in it. And I can see all of the parties that are going to benefit from what this seed is about to do. And then as I started thinking about it, the Lord started talking to me about like how you have been a connector. And I can see like the patterns of like different seeds that I've sown that have built other things in other people. And and all the while, I think I have this thought process that I sow the seed and it's supposed to benefit me, right? It's supposed to benefit me. And and if it doesn't benefit me, then it was not a seed that was sown well. And I thought about that and I was reading a scripture and it was talking about, it was in Philippians. I've been in Philippians, y'all. It was talking about not doing things for your own selfish gain. Um, and I'm like, no, Letitia, your seeds have been bearing fruit. Like they have been bearing fruit, although the fruit hasn't necessarily hit your account. Child is coming, it's gonna come, and someone else may be sowing a seed that is gonna hit your account or bearing your fruit. But regardless of whether that has happened or not, or whether that does happen or it does happen that way, I think it did me really good to just know that the seeds that I've sown, that they are fruitful. Even if it's not a fruit that I can tangibly touch, it's a fruit that is happening in someone else's life. And I was like, that's it. That's it. Now I do want to sow seeds. Don't get me wrong. I do want to sow seeds, but even more so, I think that that speaks to me because I think that my mentality around it was that I was doing something wrong, right? I was doing something wrong because it didn't manifest a certain way. And it was just like confirmation that you're doing what you are supposed to be doing. And it is helping, it is sowing seeds, it is growing. And not for nothing, in the past, people have come to me and been like, this really blessed me, this really helped me of you, because of you doing this, I was able to do this. Like I've had those conversations with people, but I've never really saw them as me sowing good seed. I never really saw that. It was just like, oh, child, that's what I do. That's, girl, like you really did the work, like, but it is seed. And it was like the Lord was telling me that you sow a seed, like you're doing the thing. Um, and you may not see the growth in the way that you thought you were going to see it. It doesn't mean that the seed hasn't grown. It doesn't mean that you haven't done what you were supposed to do. It doesn't mean that you've been eating all along. It doesn't mean that you've been eating the bread, right? So I just wanted to share that. This is going to be a real quick podcast because I don't know if it will bless anyone else, but sometimes I think we can feel like we're sowing all these seeds and they're not manifesting, and then we can begin to think that we're doing something wrong. Like we are not honoring God. We are not stewarding well, like whatever it is that we have that He's given us. We're not stewarding our gifts well because we're not seeing the return that we think that we're supposed to see. But it was like God's way of saying, like, you are sowing a seed, like that is a gift that you have, and it is multiplying, and it just does me well every single time I'm able to see the fullness of it. I'm able to see it in full circle, or not even in full circle, but it working. And coming to a place where I'm okay with how it grows. Because at the end of the day, you can't really control how it grows. You can sow it, but you can't control how it grows. You can't control the weather. You can't control how the harvest lands. You can't control the things that may happen outside of your control. You can't control those things. The only thing that you can do is the only thing that you can do is trust that you've sown it in good ground and you've done your part. And so, yeah, I wanted to share that. It's a quick little testimony or testament to those of us out here who might be feeling like some of our investment, some of our time is falling on hollow ground, um, and and it isn't. The other quick testimony in the same vein that I'll share is someone, you know, a couple of people have told me that, they started podcasts because, of a seed that I sowed in terms of letting people know how to do it and how simple it could be and what they can produce as a result of it. Or, you know, people being inspired by um, the way in which I've put myself out there and the things that I've done. And so I think that we got to be really careful that we don't shortchange the movements that we make based on the things that we feel that we've been led to do, we've been called to do. And I think we also got to make sure that we're not dishonoring or discrediting those that share the value that they've gained by the seeds that you've sown just because you haven't seen it manifest in your life, right? Because then, is it really supposed to manifest in your life? We know many of people who have sown seeds. Martin Luther King just comes to mind, who never saw the fruit of it, never saw the fruit of it. But yet, his seed has lasted decades. Well, has it been decades? I don't know. Yeah, decades are, no. years, lasts a long time, and impacted the lives of so many people. And so I think we got to check ourselves, right? With with managing our expectations against our call, right? We can't allow what we expect to take place to dictate how we show up and what we do with the gifts and the things that we've been given. Because the gifts that we have are not for ourselves. We might reap a harvest from some of those things, but that's not the purpose of them. And so, yeah, it was just a really good reminder, and it felt really good. It felt really good to not feel like, well, dang, if this deal would have came up 5 years ago, you know what I'm saying? It felt really good to not feel that way. It felt really good to just be like, wow, I love that. I love that that worked out like that. I love that I love that what it was able to produce, and how I can visibly see that production impacting so many people. And so, yeah. And last thing I'll say, you might not even be know this child. 5 years later, they might not even be thinking about, oh, well, she was the one who connected it. They may not even be thinking about that. And they don't have to. They don't have to. Who knows? Like after you sow that seed, who knows what else they cultivated? You know what I mean? What other work they put in, whatever else that they had to do in between that time. Um, but the important part is that you did your part. So, hope this encourages someone today. Like always, if this encouraged you, if you know a sister or a friend, a family member who could benefit from this, please share. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to share, all those great things. And until next time, make sure that you're securing your peace and cultivating your joy. Talk to you later.
Woke up this morning, sunshine through the clouds, feeling the healing, laughter all around. Rise up and stand tall, joy in every stride. No more tears to fall, let your spirit guide. Blessed girl summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed girl summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed girl summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems.